With the Celtics losing Game 1 to the New York Knicks, it feels to me like Game 2 is now a must-win for the Boston Celtics. So if you want the Celtics to win Game 2, hit that thumbs up icon, and we'll get into today's show. What's going on, Green Teamers? You're watching Celtics Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Tyler Smith, and on today's show, got a couple of notes and nuggets to get into before Game 2 versus the Knicks. We got some huge Celtics injury updates on Kristaps Porzingis and Sam Hauser, and then in the back half of today's show, we'll discuss how the Celtics win Game 2 and the things they need to improve upon from Game 1. But let's hop right in to the Celtics injury news. John Corrales of Locked On Celtics said this. Said Kristaps Porzingis is listed as probable for tomorrow's Game 2 against New York, and Sam Hauser is doubtful with the sprained right ankle. And this kind of came from Joe Mazzulla's media availability, talking about the status of these two guys who got hurt in Game 1. Remember, Porzingis leaves after 13 minutes played, couldn't hit a shot as he was out there on the floor, was overall very uncomfortable. Hauser came down on that leg on a closeout attempt and was down for a little bit, and he had to leave for the rest of the game, went to the locker room with a limp. Zach Cox said Kristaps Porzingis and Sam Hauser are both listed as day-to-day at this point, and from Mazzulla, he said that Porzingis is feeling, quote, a little bit better today, and it's unclear at that point when this tweet came out of whether they play in Game 2. Looks like Porzingis will be in and Hauser will be out. Remember, Porzingis missed 11 games with a upper respiratory illness back in February, March, like 11 games. Like he was clearly not himself, and really hasn't been the player that he was in 2023, 2024 since he returned back from that injury, and hasn't really been all that great in the playoffs as well. And is this current illness that he's dealing with related to that? I would assume so. Jared Weiss said this. Joe Mazzulla initially said he had, quote, no idea if Kristaps Porzingis' illness that took him out of Game 1 against the Knicks was related to the illness that kept him out for several weeks in March. But then he said this a few minutes later, quote, I think since he came back, he's been kind of dealing with it on and off, fighting through it, working through it, doing the best he can. And I think it was just too much for him in that game. Noah Dalzell also saying something similar to what Mazzulla had to say in that press conference where she's kind of putting the pieces together that it does seem like this is very much related to the illness that he had, upper respiratory thing going on in February and March. More from Mazzulla, he said he's been working through it since he's gotten back and has done a great job being available. It was just too much for him to continue yesterday. So if Porzingis is off of the floor because of this illness, clearly he does not feel ready to and able enough to play in Game 1, but good news that he's feeling a little bit better for Game 2, and he's probable for that matchup with New York. Porzingis on March 15th, back when he returned from that initial illness, said this. He said, for a week, I was really just laying at home trying to recover. And then after that, I still had lingering fatigue. And I still have it a little bit, but at least now I'm getting into more or less shape to be able to play. But yeah, after each workout, I was boom, big crash. So I was really, really fatigued. Not normal. It was extremely, extremely frustrating not knowing what I had. I haven't been this sick probably ever in my life. That's scary. That's genuinely scary for a player who we know to be a professional athlete, somebody who gets up and down the floor and is in relatively good shape compared to the rest of the population, seeing big-time illness and illness that's bad enough to keep him sidelined for games. We see guys play flu games all the time when they're under the weather, have a cold, they got some sort of illness. They can battle through it. This is keeping a tough guy like Porzingis off the floor. That's definitely concerning. And the number one priority at this point should be Kristaps Porzingis' health. If that has to keep him out of the game, then so be it. Like this is a long-term thing we're talking about here. And so far, it feels like it's been affecting him throughout the postseason so far. In the playoffs, in the 6 games that Boston has played, Porzingis has been a pedestrian out there, especially offensively. He's still racking up a couple of stocks each game, but man, not efficient whatsoever. And for a 7-3 player who gets a decent number of looks at the rim, this is a bit concerning. 19 of 58 overall from the field and 2 of 17 from 3. So he's making less than a third of his shots overall and making like less than a ninth of his shots overall from 3-point range. And we know he's never the best rebounder in the world, but still, 5.5 boards in 25 minutes a game, 10 points, like that's not going to be what wins the Celtics a title, or at least gives them their best chance at doing so. Clearly, Porzingis is not himself, but the Celtics need him to be. Like as a floor spacer, as a at the rim defender, and somebody who just provides more elements and more ways to beat opponents. They need him to be at his peak. Like what won the Celtics the title against the Mavs last year? Setting the tone in Game 1, Kristaps putting up 20 basically in the first half, and that series mentally was pretty much over from that point on. So they need Porzingis to be back in tip-top shape if they want any chance at winning a title once again. So send the good vibes to Porzingis here, as he's probable to play in Game 2, but we know he's probably not at 100% at this point. Send the good vibes and show some love. Give me some KPs down in the comments. Let's quickly talk about Sam Hauser, as he obviously was listed as day-to-day, but doubtful for Game 2. And after Game 1, Mazzulla had said that, quote, I think he sprained his ankle. Looks like that was the case. He did have his foot wrapped up after leaving the arena on Monday night. So not good news for Boston's depth as a whole. Hauser was instrumental in winning the title last year. No doubt about it. He played good defense, like very underrated defense on both Luka and Kyrie Irving. Hit some big shots, but in Game 1, he clearly didn't feel like himself either. It was airballed a couple of threes. He ended up fouling somebody on a three, and just was not a positive contributor whatsoever. But he is a depth piece that Boston needs and paid a lot of money to be able to go out there and perform at a high level. With him missing these games, is there an opportunity arising for other players within the Celtics rotation to go out there and make an impact? Baylor Shireman's the first name that pops into my head. Could we see Torrey Craig? I'm not so sure, but I feel like Shireman can provide enough offensive connection to be able to play, 8, 10, 15 minutes on certain nights in the absence of Hauser. Look, he wasn't, even when he was healthy last night, or in Game 1, Hauser wasn't very good. So maybe see what you have with Baylor Shireman, who in the second half of the season really showed you some stuff that he can play in this league and has seen a lot of development already through the first year of his career. Coming up next, we will discuss how the Celtics win that Game 2 versus the Knicks, what went wrong in Game 1, and what needs to be fixed overall. And to be honest with you guys, it was a lot of self-inflicted wounds. Before we get into that, though, I got to tell you guys about our proud sponsor in the program, and that is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports platform because it's daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. Just pick a lineup of 2 to 6 players and just pick more or less, and you can win real money watching your favorite sports. I'm talking up to 2,000 times your money. And Prize Picks is the best because they always want to make it easier for you guys. They're offering incredible deals like Taco Tuesday, where they discount a player's stats, or Flex Friday, where if you lose your entry, they give it back to you in promo funds up to $20. Also, we're hooking you guys up with an insane deal as well. $50 in your account instantly when you use our promo code CLNS and place your first $5 entry. Here's an example of a Prize Picks lineup that I'm going with for basketball playoffs on Tuesday night. Jimmy Butler, less than 22 points. And we're filming this on Tuesday, so you guys can let me know how I did in the comments section. Rudy Gobert and Draymond Green, more than 17 rebounds. Got Julius Randle, less than 20 points. And Buddy Hield, less than 9.5 points, coming off that epic Game 7 performance. You can tail my picks or fade them. Just do it at Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the promo code CLNS for $50 instantly when you place your first $5 entry. You don't have to win to receive the $50. It's guaranteed to take advantage. Prize Picks. Run your game. All that information will be clickable down in the comment section and description of today's video. Look, the formula to win Game 2 is simple. How about these guys just make the damn shots? And look, Drew Holiday's not in this photo. He's included too, albeit he was the most efficient of the Celtics starters in Game 1. But you just got to hit your shots. You missed an NBA record 45 triples in Game 1. I don't think that's going to happen in Game 2. I don't envision it happening very often throughout the series, especially 4 out of 7. Look at what happened to Boston in Game 1. This is egregious. I mean, they only end up taking 4 tightly contested three-pointers. And look, they weren't taking a ton during the regular season either, but look at the open and wide open attempts. 7 of 32 when the closest defender was 4 to 6 feet away. They shot 21% compared to the regular season where they shot 35% on those attempts. And then when you look at 6+ feet where they had 24 wide open attempts, they shoot 29% from deep. And in the regular season, they shoot 41%. So you factor in that they hit probably 2 more threes on average that are wide open a game. Well, they lost the game by 3. They would have won the game by 3 if that happened. And Tatum and Brown going 3 for 20 in a second half again, I just don't envision it. And they both had very good first halves, which was why I was so confused as to how they just dropped off completely in the second half. They kind of just looked unfocused and they didn't really have the winning energy that the Knicks kind of brought over the final 24 to 30 minutes of the game. Look, everybody who's saying that you shot 63s, that's too many threes. I just think it's a lazy take, to be honest with you. Like, Boston's offensive mentality is if you are open, take the shot. I think the process for the Celtics in Game 1 was awesome. They generated 24 wide open looks from 3. They just didn't hit them at the end of the day. And look, I'm not going to sit here and act like I love 1 2-point attempt from the Celtics in the third quarter, but they weren't necessarily good from 2-point range either. Boston shot 7 of 22 from 2-point range in the first, third, and fourth quarters. They, in the second quarter, were low-key 12 of 14, but still, throughout the rest of the game, they were not efficient in the 2-point range either. So to be saying that they shot too many threes is just, to me, ridiculous. They shot 49 threes in a game last playoffs that they won. They shoot 45 to 50 threes in games that they win all season long. And everything kind of just went wrong for Boston in game one. I mean, look at the attempts that they missed wide open around the rim. Kristaps, Holiday, Brown. I mean, everybody was missing bunnies. Man, that Jaylen Brown missed layup down the stretch of the game, that really hurt in my opinion. But you could tell Porzingis especially was not in full control of what he was doing. I mean, how does he not go up and just dunk that ball? Misses 2 bunnies back to back. They missed all 4 of the attempts that you see on screen. Blowing opportunities. You just can't do it. And they go an overall 16 of 30 inside the paint the entire night. And that's not the worst performance of all time, but I'll tell you what, it's not good. They go, 3 of 13 from the corner for 3? That's just not going to happen again. If I had to guess, they missed 45 threes in the ball game. They lost by 3 points in overtime. I don't think that there should be any overreactions from game one. It just comes down to hitting your shots if you're the Boston Celtics. And to be honest, they played good defense throughout the game as well. They were kind of locking the Knicks up. They limited them to 1.059 points per possession. Sean Grant said this. So the Knicks won despite scoring just 1.059 points per possession. The Knicks had been 4-12 this year when failing to reach 1.06. The Celtics have been 29-3 when holding teams below 1.06. So, this is just, to me, feels more like a fluke than the Knicks went out there and took this game from the Celtics. I feel like the Celtics kind of let this one slip through their hands. There's some other things that they need to figure out as the rest of the series goes on because they were abusing Al Horford in the pick and roll. These double screens that the Knicks were setting to get Horford switched onto Brunson, they have to figure that out. And I'm not a basketball coach or an X's and O's savant enough to exactly pinpoint how that gets done, but you got to figure out the switch that Horford's getting onto Brunson so he just doesn't go for 3 threes down the stretch of the fourth quarter that completely bring the Knicks back into the ball game and end up pushing them towards the win. Also, they have to stop the self-inflicted wounds as well. Celtics gifted the Knicks so many opportunities in this ball game where it further cements the thought process for me that the Celtics gave this game away. Self-inflicted wounds in game one go as follows. The Knicks had 12 offensive rebounds for 20 second chance points. It boils down to, and Dan Greenberg said this very well, he said, outside shooting, second chance opportunities, turnovers. And specifically, what I hate the most is live ball turnovers. The Knicks also in the fourth quarter and overtime had 5 offensive rebounds for 9 second chance points. So just easy opportunities that Boston has to box out and get on the glass, and you probably win this game. What about the Celtics turnovers? And I'm not acting like 13 is the most in the world, but they didn't do a good job at limiting scoring opportunities for the Knicks after they turned the ball over. 17 points off turnovers for the Celtics, giving the Knicks a grand total of 37 points in this game. They handed them the ball game. I think as long as they clean these types of things up and they end up making, 5% more of their shots, they would have won that game, and I'm pretty confident that they'll win game 2 as well. What's your number one key to winning game 2? I want to know. Let me hear it down in the comment section. What you think the formula is for the Celtics tying this series up at 1 game apiece. And make sure you give me a follow on social media as well at Tyler J. Smith. Trying to build a little bit more of a following over there with the Celtics fans. So, hey, give me a follow and make sure you are subscribed to the channel as well. YouTube.com/Celtics TV for the best Celtics news and rumors. And we will be live tonight for game 2. So lock us in, hit that sub button, turn notifications on as well so you know exactly when we go live. We'll see you guys then. And as always, let's go C's.